Okay, I think we're back. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Nose is running. Should be live. Yes, hello. We're live, I think. Apologies for that. Don't know what happened then. Yeah, okay. Yeah, not sure what happened then, but I don't think you were gone for too long. Yes, we're back. I don't know, it was weird though. It seemed to be working. I could see your was it Bob's message about having internet issues. So I could see that, but and the GoPro was saying it was still streaming, but then yeah, I wasn't actually getting anything through on the tablet that I'm monitoring the stream with. Okay, well anyway, we're back. Back with the exciting toilet adventure. You would have needed to go by now. What, to the toilet you mean, or as in you need to leave? If you mean by the toilet, I'll let you in behind the scenes. In that brief technical hiccup, I did actually nip to the loo, because yeah, all this toilet talk and the several coffees I had before starting this stream have sort of taken their toll, shall we say. But I'm back and refreshed. Okay, right, so yeah, that's going to give me enough purchase, I think. Right, let me see what I've got in the way of sticky stuff. All I've really got here is silicone, but that's not too bad, I suppose. I think I'm going to have to do another stream because it's pitch black outside now, so I can't. Oh, I really think it's worth us having a tour around the boatyard. Like I say, if you're a car person, you would get excited about like the idea of going around a junkyard. This place is like that on steroids for boats. Like, there is so much stuff here, and it's one of the things where you're walking around and some of it you're like, I can't even identify what that is. Like, you know, just bits of boat and bits of equipment everywhere that's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I did actually record a video to the left of the head. Yeah, hang on, I'll get to that in a second when I finish my thought. Yeah, I did actually record a video a while back of doing a bit of a tour of this place, but I haven't been here that long and I haven't really got to know the owners that well, and I kind of thought it's probably not appropriate to film all of their business and everything without, you know, obviously speaking to them about it and collaborating with them about it, so I never ended up using it. But I don't think a quick look around on a live stream will be too much of a problem for them. Nothing dodgy going on, it's just, you know, obviously this is a private business and private land, and so yeah, you just got to be a little bit sensible about that. Yeah, so JC, what you just kind of said, if you're, I'm assuming what you're kind of meaning is there's that bit that's in the toilet, the loop, so it could come up from here, like up here, in a loop and then down and join. Is that kind of what you were saying? Because I think that, yeah, I think that would be probably the only main sort of option that I could do with this. I really am resenting the fact that these are flathead screws. I really hate flathead screws. Hole. There we go. There's the hole. I just feel like it's going to be a real ball. Yeah. I think that's probably what I'll end up doing, to be honest. Because yeah, I mean, anything sort of like that that's safety related. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a safety related thing in general, but it's also it's a bit of a, you know, the odds of the boat sinking as a result of that. I mean, these boats are supposedly unsinkable, so but getting flooded, let's say, I don't think it would make a huge difference in that regard, just because like the main chance of a failure would probably be around where it connects to the seacock, or the seacock itself breaking. Yeah, sorry Bob, we got disconnected. Now, obviously, if I have a pipe coming up like that, it doesn't matter. That probably could still happen. I guess the thing it would stop is if something in the toilet failed. In theory, in its current setup, it could just let water endlessly into the boat. Now the toilet is just above the water level. Is above the water level. So the rim of the toilet is above the water level. So I don't think it wouldn't just do that on itself. But obviously, if we're heeling a lot, it could slosh water into the boat, which is probably not going to, like, you know, you're probably going to notice that before, you know, it filled the boat with water. Yeah, you still mean you're going to get a load of water in the boat through the toilet system, and it's going to be horrible and crappy and a pain in the arse. So from that perspective, I think it's worth doing. And I think, like I say, I probably will do that. But I don't have that pipe right now, so that'll have to be a retrofit for later. For now, at least, we can still make do with this. Well, this really doesn't want to screw into this hole. Yeah, I am going to have to drill this out a bit more, I think. This is not a self-tapping, it's not self-tapping very well. Yeah, I mean, like I say, I think it is. I would say of all of the problems with this boat, that is one of the more ones that I A, can solve, and B, should solve, and therefore will solve. There are plenty of other potential problems and dangers with this boat which I can't solve, like the engine, for example. But yeah, I think when it comes to these kind of fairly quick fix, simple kind of things, well, you'd feel pretty daft if your boat ended up getting flooded or even sinking just because couldn't be bothered to get an extra bit of pipe and attach it in a slightly different way than it isn't currently. So, but I'm guessing this is the original setup, so clearly hasn't sunk the boat yet, or at least not that I'm aware of. And obviously when we're on, like, you know, when I leave it anywhere on the water, or even when we go to bed at night, I tend to close the seacocks. You know, particularly knowing that it's got a bit of an issue with stuff leaking out, or potentially with stuff leaking. Well, not leaking, getting in, sorry. Right, that's in its position. Now all I need to do is drill through all of these holes. At least mark them. Okay, all the holes are marked. You can see if these were nice sort of like, you know, crosshead, Phillips, whatever, screws, you could put them in the drill and get a real nice solid in there, but because they're flatheads and they want to wobble all over the place, it's hard to get a nice clean screw hole into it. There's some like aluminium sheet or something underneath this. There's some little like shard. By the time that was coming off the drill bit. And I guess it makes sense that this is reinforced with something because it is the support for the toilet. So it's obviously going to make. There's all these little I'm guessing there's an aluminium plate under there, but a very, very thin one, because like that drill bit's going through it with ease. So hopefully we can get the screws in. I am going to set up the screws in here in the drill. Hello Spectral in Dubai. We are fitting a new toilet. All the glamorous and exciting jobs that you've joined us for. Yeah, so well, we're hopefully not far off. I shouldn't say that because who knows what's going to get thrown up in the next little bit. But yeah, I managed to get hold of a new to me but not new toilet, which is there, and so we're fitting that today, and unfortunately, I'm sure no one else thought, but I was naive enough to think that maybe the hole pattern of these two different toilets would be the same, and I could just unbolt the other one and bolt in a new one, but that wasn't the case, so I had to make up a new basically base for it to mount onto. Joe's new throne, yeah. Yes, it is lovely. Nothing like getting a second-hand toilet. Although to be fair, it was actually pretty clean, and I stripped it and used industrial vinegar and stuff like that to really break down all the lime scale. And the brown lime scale, which I'm telling myself was definitely lime scale and nothing else. So yeah, so she's quite clean now. What's it like in Dubai? I'm guessing it's cold and rainy, right? Just like it is here. We've got someone from Texas, so we can see what we can compare temperatures and see who wins. And I guess Texas is probably not that warm at the moment, being it's winter. Right, make sure I put this back on the right way. It would be unfortunate otherwise. Right, so we just need a bit of sticky stuff. Oh, it's kind of weird. There's a delay on my end, so I kind of say stuff, and I don't know how long it is till you get to actually see it. Right, you know what? 15 degrees in the evening and rain yesterday. I mean, I like 15 degrees here would be a fairly nice summer's day for us. I think it was about -2 when I drove up the other day. It was certainly ice everywhere. The boat was covered in ice, even inside. You know, it was like breaking ice in the bilges, which is never a good sign. So yeah, no, 15 degrees would be, say, that was about as good as it got this summer. Oh yeah, 17 in Central Texas, yeah, so again, what a terrible winter's temperature. You know what, I'm gonna go for a little trip to the van. I'm gonna leave you here because I'm dying on battery. So I will be back in a minute. I just need to go and see if I've got any better sticky stuff in the van. There you go. I'll put the toilet down so you can. There you go. You can have something interesting to stare at. Okay, I'm back. Right. 3D. Oh, you're in Glasgow, William. Yeah, I don't know about, well, I don't know what it's like where you are, but, William, but it's warmed up a bit here today. It's now just wet and miserable as opposed to wet and icy and cold and miserable. I didn't find anything better. I did find something worse, but this worse thing is open, so I don't have to open a whole new sealant tub. But the question is, how deep am I going to have to go on this before I find any get over plunger? Actually, no. Actually, there is some usable silicone, not too deep into that. Right. Where's my gun? There she is. Oh, I need to. I thought I read that as I used to work on my toilet, and I'm like, what job do you have? Do you work on a toilet? Oh, imagine that, Joe, the hot plate in your... Joe has like one of those like industrial like warehouse heaters, you know, the things that look like a jet engine. You know, and literally sound like a jet engine. You know, it's like the big barrel with just a big burner and a fan in it. Joe has one of them, and that barely keeps her workshop warm. So, yeah, I think she would really like it if her hot plate was enough to keep it warm. William, you need to work on the toilet. It's not pumping in water. I suppose that's probably better than it pumping in water and not pumping it out, I guess. Yeah, toilet jobs are always fun. Yeah, we had a similar problem with this one where it kept blocking up over the summer. Yeah, basically the put a few blobs of this around. It was getting stiffer and stiffer to get the pump to work, and I even took it apart and tried to, probably a little bit too much silicone there, but yeah, I took the whole thing apart and tried to see if there's anything blocking it, but yeah, but it just, nothing I did seemed to make it any better. And like I say, I wasn't planning on getting a new toilet. I was just going to try and get a service kit and see if it could be improved. But then, yeah, the story behind which I told at the beginning of all this was they break boats here, and the owner said to me that, you know, there's a couple of boats, sailing boats they're breaking. If you want anything off them, help yourself. I went and had a little crawl over them for a few hours, and one of them had a, well, certainly nicer looking than our toilet. So, a few bolts, I was able to remove it and take it home, clean it up, and so yeah, worked out alright in the end. So I didn't need to didn't need to buy one. Silicone the bolt threads, not a bad shout, although I did put it over the hole, so it's probably, you mean like the upright ones that are going to go into the toilet, or the threads of the screws? The threads of the screws are going to get done anyway. Okay, yeah. So you mean the bolts? Yeah. Yeah, I will do. I will put a little bit on that before I tie them down. Although, yeah, because they're not self-locking screws or whatever they're called. Are they lining up? Now I need to get these to line up with the hole I drilled. for the silicon sets. Should be about there. That's about right. Start with this one. Oh, okay. Wow, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't be using it quite that strong. That went in, but it twisted the head off the bolt, which is problematic because now that's never going to come out of there. Well, I mean, I could get it out of there, but it is solid, so as long as I never have to change that, yeah. I probably, to be fair, have some self-locking nuts that I could just put on it, and that would solve it forever. But yes, I agree. Nobody wants a wobbly toilet, do they? Right, let me put the clutch on this time, so hopefully it won't snap the bolt straight away, or the screw. Wow. Okay, well these bolts are not strong enough. Ironically, they're screwing in, but not all the way, annoyingly, but they keep... I'm surprised, are these like not stainless steel? I doubt they're aluminium. Feel pretty light. What's the grey plastic made of? It's called, well, it's got various names, but it's generally known as Eco-Ply. And basically it's recycled plastic. So they make, they shred up bottles and whatever else made of plastic, and yeah, basically shred it up and form it into a board, and it has this sort of we've got a piece I can show you. No, so it's kind of, it looks a bit like chipboard on the side, but it's got this kind of polished, smooth surface on the top, and it's kind of a replacement for plywood, or it's a pretty good substitute for plywood, particularly on boats, because it's plastic. It doesn't rot. I did. If you look on our, I don't know if you've seen, but on the channel there was a couple of videos we did. Yeah, there's a couple of videos we did. A year ago, more now, where I explained what this is, and I actually tested it. So I put something like, submerged some in some salt water, like a chunk of it, and then submerged another one in what I sort of described as the build to water from hell. So it was salt water, diesel, paint thinners, WD-40. Yeah, basically every nasty thing that I could possibly imagine. Oh yeah, you did too, yeah. And yeah, and it worked really well. So we've been sort of using it on bits and bobs. You know, as Joe just said, floorboards, so including the one I'm sat on right now, are all made out of it. We made the new benches out in the cockpit out of it, and it's really good. You know, you work with it similar to work with to wood. You can cut it, you can drill it, you can screw it, and all that sort of stuff. Downsides, surface is scratchable, so although it's got quite a nice kind of marble finish on it, if you left that on anything that was exposed, like floors for example, it will just get scratched up and not look very nice. you can drill and screw into it fine, but it you know, it is plastic, so it will pull out and deform a little bit more maybe than plywood. The edging of it isn't very nice. It's like I say, it looks a bit like chipboard. Now obviously for anything that, you know, you're not going to see the edges, that doesn't really matter. You can edge finish it using I use like a plastic bumper filler, like a car bumper filler, and it's a lot of work, but it does do a good job. But yeah, it's a bit of a pain. But yeah, I mean, the main thing is there's no painting, priming, treating. You know, once you've done it, once you've made something and installed it, you know, unlike with wood, you know, you can see all the woodwork here. It's all a bit tired. It gets damp. You know, you start to get the edges breaking up on plywood and things like that. So you're constantly kind of fighting and battling the decay of wood, which you're not with this. You know, what is a fit and forget. One downside to it, which I know I haven't talked about before, but it's something that I would potentially consider as something you should consider if you're going to use it, particularly if you're going to use it extensively on your boat, is, you know, it's plastic. Now wood burns, you know, so wood isn't exactly a fireproof thing, but this is going to be real nasty stuff in a fire. You know, I don't think it's going to, you know, it's not going to go up like petrol. It'll probably take about the same as a piece of ply to get going, but once it gets going, it's going to be pretty nasty, both in terms of the fumes it produces and, you know, potentially how quickly the fire could spread and stuff like that. I'm saying this having not tested it. Maybe I should do a test at some point and actually set fire to a piece of it and see what it does. But that's the only thing that I would hesitate in full-throated endorsing this. Just to be a little bit conscious of the fact that, you know, if you're going to fill your boat with this stuff, you know, just think about what that means in terms of fire. Like, you know, like I've thought about redoing other stuff, like, you know, even like these bulkheads and, you know, the cupboards and things, because it'd be a lot nicer. But yeah, that's the only thing that gives me a little bit pause for thought of using it, is what, you know, in a fire. I mean, in a fire on a boat like this, it's going to be a case of either you're off the boat immediately, or it's probably not going to matter, shall we say. But yeah, just something that I didn't talk about when I did the various videos about this stuff, and something that yeah, we should all just sort of take into consideration, shall we say. Right, well, okay, it looks alright. Like I say, unfortunately it did shear a couple of those screw heads off, but not before it's kind of bit in pretty well, and it's pretty solid. Yeah, most things will burn on the boat. Like I say, you know, it's not like the boat is completely safe from fire, and this would change that. But yeah, it's just something, like I say, something that sort of occurred to me over the time of using this stuff. I did years ago. I did a firefighting at sea course. I'm just going to see if I actually have any thread locks or nylocks for this. I've only got one nylock, so I think we'll go with the silicone thing. Does the lid stay up when opened? No, I'm not. When Joe's there, I'm not allowed to lift the toilet seat, so it always has to be down, even when I'm using it. Don't ask me how I get around that. Yeah, so years ago, years and years, I had aspirations of maybe doing a doing some crewing, like, you know, posh boat crewing. Not my one glove has broken. So, you know, basically being a waiter for rich people on a boat. And to do that, you have to do. God, I want to say it's like STC 85. Maybe someone who knows can comment. But basically, it's your commercial qualification for crewing. So it's not like being a captain on a big old boat. It's basically your basics. So you do, I think, first aid at sea, firefighting at sea, survival at sea, and maybe there's something I don't know. But those kind of basic things. And I mean, it's interesting. Like, I think for all of those categories, the basically every single one started with, if you get injured at sea, you'll probably die. If you end up having to abandon ship, you'll probably die. But we did 3 days of firefighting at sea down at it was in Plymouth, down the southwest of England, and we went to the, they have a firefighting at sea training thing there. It's where they train people like us who are looking to do a bit of crewing, but also proper firefighters and all that sort of stuff. And it was a pretty full-on course. We did you do the basics where you play around with fire extinguishers, but then by the day 3 we were in the full suits, breathing apparatus, and they have a mock boat there. It's basically like, it's kind of, they've reconstructed like the superstructure of a boat of some description, and it's all just made of sheet metal, and they just set fire to it. They light fires inside of it, and you have to go in there and rescue people. Basically, that was the exercise we were doing. You go in there, full breathing apparatus. They have all like monitoring and sensors in there, and it gets to 280 to 300 degrees centigrade in there. You don't even, up until that point, I wouldn't have thought a human being would survive in those kind of things. But you are wearing like a suit. I don't know what that would be in Fahrenheit. I don't even know if the if Fahrenheit goes that high, to be honest. But yeah, so insanely hot, and and you go in there, you're dragging these hoses behind you. Some of the people are putting out fires. Other people, we had to go and find a casualty and carry him down a ladder and all this sort of fun stuff. And yeah, I mean, and it was the same thing, which was don't ever have a fire on a boat. Like, that's the best advice you can get about it. It was pretty scary how difficult it was, how hot it was. But the other thing that they kind of talk about, which isn't something you necessarily think about, so I was grabbing my tools, is that obviously most bigger boats, not this one, but will have fire hoses and things like that, and the you'd think, well, you're surrounded by water, like it's not like it's going to be hard to find stuff to put the fire out, right? But what they were the thing you realise is these big fire hoses pump about 1,000 litres a minute, which is about a metric ton of water every minute. So you're dumping a ton of additional weight into the boat every minute, and most boats don't like it when you do that. So particularly, either you'll sink the boat, but more likely you're going to be pumping it to one side and you'll end up capsizing the boat. So you can only really use these fire hoses for like 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and that ain't going to do much if you've got a raging kind of engine fire or something like that. So it was like, yeah, we're going to train you to do all this stuff, but in reality, if there's ever a fire, get the hell off the boat as fast as possible, and then revert to your survival at sea training. And as you said, Bob, yeah, we did it in a swimming pool, where you basically they put the life raft in the swimming pool, and you start off in the water, and then you have to swim up and climb into the life raft, and you get in the life raft with 4 or 5 other people, and you go, yeah, I don't ever want to end up inside one of these in a real scenario, because it was pretty miserable when there's 5 of you in a swimming pool. So God knows what it would be like at sea when it's freezing cold, and God knows what else is going on. But yeah, eye-opening experience if nothing else. But in the end, I didn't end up going crewing because I ended up opening a mountain bike park instead, which I still wonder whether that was the right choice or not, but it's not been too bad. Okay, right, so the question is the housing going to align properly? I don't want to tighten this too much because it's sort of plastic, but it's not wobbly. It's pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, that would probably fit there. Like you say, not the prettiest looking thing, but it would fit there, and then that would probably work. So I probably will do that eventually. I guess that can stay in there. Right, so one last job is to connect all this together. The good news is the existing plumbing, I'll show you and move you, which is left on this GoPro. Okay, I'm still on 17%, so it's at least holding its charge. Right, so existing hosing, so that's the outlet. That's where the excitement leaves the boat, shall we say. I'm not going to bother Jubilee clamping these right now, just because I am going to rejig this at some point, so just check that at least in theory it would work. Does anyone know, anyone familiar with these Jab Coast toilets? I'm guessing this is the inlet, the bottom one, and I'm guessing the top one is the one that goes round to the back here. But does anyone know for certain before I make a hash of it? While the stream catches up and I think about that, I'm going to go and just grab the pipe off the old toilet, because I'm going to need the other one. You can watch me walk away. And this. Yeah, I'll tie them up when I get around. I'll tell you what, this was quite a struggle. Let me bring it back down. This was quite a struggle to get off the old toilet, but it should work. But yeah, I hate Jubilee clips now. Joe Ho doing real work. This is real work. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the video ages ago where I came up to find the boat flooded. Some better Jubilee clip in here we'll use. And if I show you, I can show you actually. So one of the things I don't like about this boat is how the bilges are set up. You won't be able to tell, but basically there's no one bilge, it's all like segmented, which means if water gets into like each segment, you have to basically dry and empty them individually. Now down here in this little area here is one of the lowest points, and I've got that's where my main bilge pump is. I don't know if I can lift that up, but yeah, so I have a bilge pump under there. That is the place that generally the water gets to most, and then that comes through and it goes out via the toilet, via the sink, sorry. So there's a one-way valve there, and it just sends it out via the sink. Now, it's not the worst idea. The slight problem is you can never close that seacock, or the bilge pump will just pump the water into the sink and then out. But when I did the when I got here and it's flooded, and I was trying to basically sort that pipe out and get it off so that I could essentially use it to pump some water out, and I slipped and I sliced my finger open on the Jubilee clip, like basically on like the end of the metal that was sticking out, which is why in that clip the bilges are filled with blood as well as water. And ever since then I've been so super paranoid about freaking Jubilee clips. I mean, I've cut myself today. I have no idea how I did that, but I've sliced my finger somehow. I tend to do that. I tend to injure myself and not know how. And yeah, Joe's remote foreman. Yeah, she is. Joe is keeping an eye from a distance from well, I'd say warm home, but marginally warmer home than this one. Although having said that, once I get the electric heater on in here, because it's so small, it gets super warm in here super quickly. Far warmer than our house does at home. Oh, the pipe is not quite long enough, but we'll do the job. Right. We haven't got it. I think the top is the inlet. Really? I was going for this being the other way around. I don't have instructions for it. I reckon the bottom's got to be the inlet. It's like, in terms of how these things are laid out, that would make more sense, I think. And it would also mean that it fits with my current hosing, so I guess we'll find out someday. Okay. Right. So we're almost there, I think. Of course, we can't test it, so there's no way for me to know if it's functioning, because we're not in the water. So I mean, as in test it, like, you know, pump some water through it as opposed to actually use it. But we all hope, I guess, that it's right. I mean, I suppose as long as it's solid, it should be fine. We are almost there, I think. Heat shrink might be too posh. Oh, on the end of the hose, right? Yeah, oh yeah, to stop them, the sharp bits and stuff. Yes, that's not a bad idea. Or you can get the is it called amalgamating tape? It's like you can get it in like a roll, like just like normal sellotape, but it's like a rubber stuff that you wrap around and it kind of bonds to itself. Something like that would probably work quite well. And then you don't have to get it round it, you just wrap it around it. Maybe once this has been in here for a season and I know it's all right and it works properly, maybe that'll be something to do to tidy it up and wrap it round. But I have no confidence. To be honest, I'm just doing these up for the stream. I have no confidence that I'm not going to have to redo this in some way once I realise a mistake I've made along the way. Right. Well, I hate to say it. I suppose wouldn't I'll sit on the toilet. There you go, something for your nightmares. Me sitting on the toilet. But yeah, I can see it doesn't roll around. I can move around on it. Haven't fallen through it yet. Doesn't really seem to be flexing at all, so yeah. There you go, I should make this the thumbnail for the stream, me sitting on the toilet. You can't even really see the toilet, but it's down. You can imagine it's probably down there. And my trousers are still done up, so I can show you down there. Right. Well, I think, to be honest, that's probably going to about do it. So just looking at messages. I think that's been a pretty decent first start. There is one thing we need to do before we end, just for the tradition. So let me reattach you to something. God, I think by now I'd have figured out how this camera works, but there we go. Apparently not. Right, you gonna stay there or are you gonna fall off when I walk away? Okay, cool. Right, first job, wash my hands, because God knows what I've been putting my hands in all day. Probably need to use some like turpentine or something to clean my clean whatever's all over my fingers. Soap and water will do for now. And as is always my tradition, but you don't generally get to see it, cold beer to finish. Which reminds me, apologies, I forgot. Let me grab this so I can see who's talking. Don't we ever see you touch your face with your hand? Yeah, you don't know how bad my face is. You don't know where my face has been, Bob. Magazine rack, yeah, that's true, magazine rack, yes. So, who was the guy from Glasgow? Was it? No, it wasn't Spectral, was it? William, was that yourself from Glasgow? I don't know. Whoever the person was from Glasgow. So this is my boat beer. This is Innocent Gun. I think it's how you say it. Innocent Gun. You only get this in Scotland. Well, you can. I've seen it in a couple of supermarkets down south, shall we say. But I discovered this when I first started coming to Scotland, and it is my favourite beer. But it's my boat beer. And Joe tends to get me some for Christmas. And but is this like, to a Scottish person, is this like an Australian drinking Castlemaine 4X? Like, is this like a crappy tourist beer, or is this actually a nice beer? Because I really like this beer. I don't know if William's still here or not, but if you are willing, tell me, am I like a tourist, or is this like, you know, like what your winos on the bench drink, or is this actually a nice beer that Scottish people like too? But it is very nice, so cheers. Oh, well earned. Right, so I'm going to tidy up, but yeah, I don't think you need to see that. And then I will be back. Might do one tomorrow. We'll see what the weather's going. I've got a few jobs to do. Oh, it's an East Coast beer. Oh right, I'm on the West Coast. I better not let people around here know. Never tried it. It's very nice. If you like beer, if you don't like beer, you probably won't like it. It's kind of like it's quite fruity. It does say crisp and zesty on the tin, so that does make sense. Yeah, it's not Buckfast. Yeah, if the toilet job had gone worse, I'd probably probably be on the Buckfast right about now. Yeah, so might be back tomorrow. Probably again afternoon my time, so about 12 o'clock GMT, UTC, whatever it is. Maybe about 1 o'clock by the time I've got my act together. Not say jobs wise, so I've got to fit these strips, which not going to be that interesting, but maybe it'll be something to just do. But again, I think it's worth doing at least one more, so that we can have a wander around the boatyard at some point, and I can show you all the wonders of RB Marine, and at least show you some sea. Yeah, because right now you've just seen boat in a car park rather than boat near the sea. So right, I'm going to hesitate whilst I actually figure out how do I actually stop the stream, because although it's been failing on its own several times. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for those who stopped by. It's been quite fun doing this, quite nice. Talking to myself, but having people listen as opposed to just talking to myself. So yeah, I think we'll probably give it another go. And yeah, as always, keep a watch out. Like I say, right now videos are fortnightly on a Sunday morning UK time. Hopefully going to be going to weekly, if we can get the sort of editing pace up a little bit. So I should start in the next couple of weeks. Still got quite a bit of last season to get through. We went to some really amazing places, so definitely worth checking that out. And hopefully this year we'll have more to come, and hopefully going even further afield than we did last time. So thank you so much, guys. It's been lovely chatting with you all, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you on here again.